Hello and welcome to Reading in Bed Extracts with me, Amanda Steele. I'm one half of the main Reading in Bed podcast team, and today I'm going to be reading an extract from a book that I'm actually going to be reviewing later on this year on a future podcast of Reading in Bed. So this is called The Curse of Knowing, and it's by Aldo Cernuto, and I'm going to read the blurb first. Vittoria Armieri, a humble worker at a ministry in Rome, has the ability to access people's lives, their pasts, their thoughts and feelings, and especially their tragic memories. Others would call it a superpower, but to her it's a curse. It's a source of such misery for her that she's now desperate to die, possibly at the hands of a murderer. But while she recalls her youth and the events that brought her to this point, something unexpected occurs, something that not even Vittoria, with all her eerie savviness, could possibly have foreseen. So this is chapter 1. Rome, present day. My name is Vittoria Armieri. I work at the Ministry of Cultural Heritage, and I know everything. If you feel safe, well, you aren't. I know everything about you too, beginning with who you are and what your name is. I can tell where you are right now, what you do for a living, and whom you fantasized about just minutes ago. Like so many of the things that I know about you and anybody else, these are trivialities. These are facts that nobody cares about, least of all me. So I treat them like gnats that are buzzing around. I wait for them to fly off without even bothering to wave them away. But things are different when I come across a murderer like the guy on the bench opposite. I'm not talking about the older man with thick glasses. He is as clean as a whistle. In fact, he deserves compassion. At the age of 12, he was beaten unconscious by 3 seniors of his boarding school, and a year later he was raped by a janitor. He has always kept it from everyone, denying it even to himself. But it happened, I know it did. Anyway, I was talking about the man sitting next to him, the guy in the blue coat who is now devouring his sandwich. His name is Domenico Morgelli, and he's 64. Back when he used to inflict on human beings the same savagery that he's now reserving for his food, he slaughtered a young man and a girl in their 20s. It's no coincidence that he was christened Dom the Butcher by the whole of Rome at the time of his crime. I turn my gaze towards the passers-by here at Villa Borghese. Unaware of what this guy did, they stroll around the park looking for some rays of sun in this insipid early autumn. Most of them are employees on their lunch breaks, but I can spot some students too. There's a pair of lovebirds among them. They're crossing the pathway now, preventing me from seeing the murderer for an instant. Their names are Giardi and Marcella, and they attend medical school. They're both 24 and have been together for a few weeks. Last Sunday they screwed without a condom. Now she's living in anxiety, desperately waiting for her next period. From the way they are holding each other, they seem to have 8 arms. Caught by their mutual love, they ignore everyone else as if living in a world confined to themselves. Yes, that's right, a world confined to themselves. Oh, how I envy that. I dwell on the 2 lovers. They're walking a few yards from a man who could slice them up like he did to that couple years ago, and they're practically naked in front of me, but oblivious as they are, they pay no attention to either of us. As for me, a gloomy and withered figure, I'm not surprised that I go unnoticed by them or by anyone. I see my decay as a conquest, and my desire to hasten it exceeds by far any wish I may have of detaining it. With the misfortune I bear and the stage that I've now reached, my life as an outcast, ignored by everyone, is a blessing. You wouldn't say it today, but 40 years ago anyone would have dislocated their necks to crane at me. The black waves of my hair drank in their gazes like swirls of the sea, not to talk about my eyes and out-of-stock hue of blue. As my mother once said, despite being Esau, they were like 2 black holes in the way they swallowed the attention of everyone around me. In the summer when I used to wear a suntan and little else, every step I took was like a whiplash. Most people gasped with pleasure, some were eaten up by envy. But why am I distracting myself with this decades-old nonsense when I'm facing this criminal, who could just be the man for the job? Meanwhile, the 2 lovers have moved on, taking the man's gaze with them as he recalls his murder. In 1972, he stabbed both his girlfriend Mirella and Valerio, a young cook who was coming on to her on a park bench on the outskirts of Rome. He ended them with a total of 22 thrusts, the first 4 straight to Valerio's heart, then in tears he delivered the remaining 18 to Mirella. But this young couple has no reason to be afraid of him. I've already made the mental note that he served the total of 23 years at Regina Coeli for his crime, and he has never thought of committing another one. He wouldn't raise a hand to call a waiter now, let alone kill someone. Other facts I know: he works for his cousin's cleaning company, and he has an infection in the lower right third molar, but he can't afford the dentist. Here's the thing that annoys me the most: irrelevant details sneak stealthily into my consciousness, in the same way as significant facts, but I can't choose which to keep and which to discard. Now the murderer has noticed me and is staring at me. After another bite of his sandwich he looks away. He can't imagine that this little woman wrapped in a beige coat with her bag on her knees knows about his crime. He cannot know, neither he nor anyone else, that I know everything about everyone. And if you want to read the rest of the book, you can buy it on Amazon and lots of other places, and I'll share some links when I put this podcast online. And you can listen later in the year when I read it and do a full review. So thanks for listening. Bye everyone.